Hello. I am going to reply to some of the questions that you sent. And beginning with, let's see, you said you had a look at part of the first video. It seems to be a middle path where the digital is sort of helping to bridge physical limitations, where you can sit at home and listen to stories from far away, from Spain or Tamil Nadu. So that's an interesting term, video conferencing as a middle path. It's true that it's high technology, very high technology, but at the same time it's very human and personal. It's a simulation of being physically present. Of all the things that you can do on a computer, video conferencing strikes me as the most similar to physically present communication, and rich in the sense of sound and picture. If a video conference is designed well with technology in place, you really can forget that the people you're talking to are far away. It used to be that people who worked with computers and all were considered antisocial or ace because they just went off in their gadget. But with the coming of video conferencing, I think that the deeper you get into using computers and cell phones and tablets for this, the more you have to relearn the art of conversation, which involves a lot of listening and suggesting topics and negotiating with your partner and recovering after embarrassing things. So the art and craft of conversation, I believe, will be making a comeback as video conferencing increases. Number one, can you tell me more about how this started and how it has worked so far? Well, I have been working with video conferencing since the 90s, the early 90s. But it was when I was a PhD student at University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. I did a PhD in folklore, but I always had an interest in communication also, and I worked in the telecom office of the university, helping professors do video conferencing. And I discovered that even then, that was like 98, 99, one could video conference with a party, and at the same time, that conversation could be webcast. So people around the world could watch the conversation. They could see both parties in the video conference, and they could send in emails and all that the video conferencers could respond to. So I started first doing that for seminars and all in the late 90s. And in recent years, I discovered that Google offers the same service for free. It's absolutely amazing. It's called Google Hangout with the on-air option. I'm using it now to make this recording, although I'm not speaking to anyone. I'm just speaking to myself and you. This ability to video conference with a person, have it be webcast, I have felt for many years that it's a great tool for storytelling, talking about storytelling, and giving training in storytelling. How do people join it? What is the process to be involved in this? Well, anyone can start like a Skype video conference or FaceTime on Apple or Google Hangout, and you just have to type in, for the on-air option, you just have to type in Hangout on air, and you quickly get led through the process of creating it. But what really needs to be done next is that we need an infrastructure by which we can find people of similar interests. Say, for example, you want to talk about the USA presidential election campaign. You want to talk about Hillary Clinton, about Bernie Sanders, about Donald Trump. there should be a way where one can find a small group. Small group means about 4 or 5 people, and discuss matters. Or if you want to tell stories about, something in real life, or if you want to tell and discuss fairy tales, we need an infrastructure by which we can type in keywords and find 4 or 5 like-minded people who wish to engage in a conversation on that subject. So I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but this is the next step that needs to happen. Regarding the election, because I am from the USA, I'm from New York City, but I'm settled in Chennai, but I have an interest especially in the USA election. I have been watching a lot of recordings on YouTube. See, it used to be that we only got television from NBC, ABC, CBS in the USA, these big corporations. And there was PBS, the government channel. Then came cable television. But now has come YouTube television, which means that any individual like me can put recordings on YouTube. And actually, this recording itself is on YouTube. It's not open to the public, really. It's open, but nobody will find it. I haven't made any links or tags so anyone else will find it. But because Google owns YouTube, everything that gets recorded in a Google Hangout goes automatically onto a page on YouTube. So yes, that's it. I feel we need an infrastructure by which we can find each other to engage in small group conversations, including for storytelling. So at the moment, it's not clear how people can join these kind of conversations, but we're going to find a way. Number 3, have you found that this has helped people who want to engage in storytelling but are unable to balance it in their lives? Not yet, but again, it's coming. And I want to say that, of course, many people who are involved in storytelling means using the voice and body to tell a story, to communicate a story. This is live storytelling, social storytelling, which really is storytelling. I bristle, I cringe when people use the term storytelling to refer to making movies or writing books. Stories can be presented and can be experienced in many mediums, but storytelling really technically refers to using the voice and body to share stories in a social gathering. So you tell me, are we in a social gathering now? Not quite, because you're watching a recording and listening to a recording. But if we were video conferencing, would that be a social gathering? Yes and no. It's a middle path, as you've said. Maybe it can be called video-mediated communication. It's similar to being physically present, but it's mediated through the technology. But the key point is that in a video conference, we are able to give feedback to each other spontaneously and perpetually as the event goes on. Are there any limitations in the medium of video conferencing and in webcasting a video conference? Well, there's less of a three-dimensional sense that we have with each other, as long as television screens are flat. Perhaps soon television is going to become more 3D. We can't sense body heat from each other. So there are differences. Those are just some of the differences between physically present and video conference conversation. You mentioned that movies, TV, and computer games attract and fascinate the mind, but may leave the mind vacant when the time comes for thinking and acting from oneself. Yes, vacant when it comes time for initiating contact and communication. I feel that movies, recorded media that we can absorb like that does not help one prepare for interactivity so much. So let's see. Number 1, what do you think is the element here that is lacking, but that is enabled through this initiative? Well, the issue is interactivity. if we are in the habit of conversing with each other, whether physically present or from a distance like this, if we're in the habit of interacting, that will make a difference. Whereas if we're in the habit of just absorbing images and sounds that come from television, one is more likely to become a couch potato. Number 2, can you tell me, through an example perhaps, more about how this drama and participation in storytelling format affects a person's mental state? Well, I think you might be asking the difference between being an audience member and having the option to participate as a storyteller. And in live situations, that distinction is also there. There are storytelling events where you just have to go and sit in the audience and you can't say a word. You can communicate with your facial expression and body language, but storytelling is not necessarily an interactive experience. The kind of storytelling events I like are more interactive, where people sit in a circle and people can take turns telling and discussing, whether it's physically present or by video conference. For instance, the difference in the same story when told live through a movie and through interactive technology. Well, there are theories that the medium we use influences the story we choose and the way we tell that story. In other words, when we're talking with people in a conversation, that is a kind of warm, lively event, and will get us thinking more about being together and working together. Whereas writing traditionally has been an isolated event, so that may contribute to many novels being more about loneliness and imbued with loneliness. So these are theories. They may or may not be true. I feel video conferencing gives us a very epic feeling that we're doing something magnificent and big and challenging, maybe because it's still a new field, but also because it's so advanced technology, using so much bandwidth, and the data is so rich. So I feel it's an epic. Epic means grand, big, tremendous, important. I get that kind of feeling from video conferencing, but I also get a manic depressive feeling from video conferencing, because if it doesn't work, it's excruciating, because there are people on the other side, and there may be an audience if there's a hangout that is not getting to see what they were scheduled to see and hear, and it is very embarrassing and painful if it doesn't work. So it's like all or nothing. So that contributes to the drama of video conferencing. 3, are there any other examples or methods like video conferencing that you can think of that have used the best of both digital and the human element? Other methods like video conferencing that have used, well, I'm not really sure. I think you may have something in mind there, so I'd be interested to know what you might be thinking of. Again, the question to me is whether an event is interactive or not, whether people can participate from afar. I have been struggling to find a way to conduct workshops where people can attend physically, but other people can also attend by video conference. To do this well, it would require having a camera or 2 external cameras feeding the picture into my computer, so I could send the picture out of both myself and the people in the workshop. In a proper workshop, everybody should see everybody. And that is a challenge when you have people who are attending by video conference. The camera that they have to see the picture through, if it's pointed at me, that's limited. If it's pointed at other people in the workshop, that's limited. So you need to have 2 cameras, perhaps mixing it together. But that is a big challenge that I'm hoping to achieve in the years to come. And also people talk about synchronous or asynchronous, whether we're meeting at the same time as in a video conference or in a chat, a text chat, or whether we're not synchronized. In other words, I leave a message, then sometime later you leave a message. That's more like, I guess, email, although email can also be done with people who are doing it at the same time. Okay, these are my replies for now. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.